Welcome to this quiet journey through the heart of Nashville. Tonight, we'll be taking a gentle walk together, moving slowly through streets that many pass by without ever truly noticing. Our steps will be unhurried, our pace steady, and the soft rhythm of the city will accompany us as we wander. You might choose to listen closely, taking in each detail, or you may allow the steady narration to lull you toward rest. Either way, this walk is here to bring calm and quiet into your evening. The air tonight carries the faint coolness of autumn, though you may imagine it as you prefer. The warmth of a summer evening, the crispness of winter, or the gentle renewal of spring. Nashville reveals different faces in each season, but tonight it wears the timeless quality that comes when a city settles into its evening rhythm. The streetlights have begun their nightly vigil, casting pools of amber light that will guide our steps. In the distance you can hear the faint hum of traffic, but it feels distant, muffled, like the sound of waves heard from far inland. We'll begin in downtown Nashville, standing near the intersection of Broadway and Fifth Avenue. By day, this area is often filled with music, bright signs, and bustling crowds. But as we set off together now, imagine it in a quieter hour, the neon glowing softly, the voices and instruments hushed, leaving behind the faint echo of songs carried on the air. The sidewalks are wide, the buildings tall and close together, and the gentle hum of traffic creates a background rhythm. You notice the pattern of the brickwork underfoot, the smoothness worn in places by countless footsteps before yours. Over the course of our journey, we'll pass from the bright lights into calmer neighborhoods, weaving our way through both familiar and overlooked corners. We'll look closely at the architecture, the weathered red brick and the smooth new glass towers, the cottages and churches tucked between busy streets. We'll pause to reflect on the history behind these facades, move gently into the everyday life of the people who call this city home, and eventually let our walk carry us into places where food, music, and atmosphere quietly mingle. Tonight, we'll visit not just the famous landmarks, but the neighborhoods that locals cherish, places like Silven Park with its tree-lined streets and 1920s bungalows, the Nations with its emerging character and converted warehouses, and Hillsboro Village, where students and families create a gentle bustle even in the evening hours. We'll walk through green hills, where mid-century modern homes nestle among rolling terrain, and discover the quiet charm of Lachland Springs, where Victorian cottages sit alongside contemporary infill homes. Along the way, we'll take time to notice the small details that make a city feel alive, the way shadows fall across sidewalks in geometric patterns, the sound of wind chimes on a porch mixing with the distant hum of air conditioners, the scent of honeysuckle growing over a fence, mingling with the aroma of someone's dinner cooking. These are the moments that transform a simple walk into a meditation, a journey not just through space, but through the layers of time and memory that make Nashville home to so many. This will not be a rushed tour. Each step is deliberate. Each street is taken slowly. You might imagine the coolness of the evening air or the warmth of sunlight if you prefer. The setting is yours to shape, and the city will unfold before you in quiet detail. As we begin, I encourage you to settle in comfortably. Allow your breathing to find an easy rhythm matching the calm, steady pace of footsteps along the pavement. If you find yourself drifting into sleep, that is perfectly fine. The walk will continue without you, and the city will remain here, waiting. And so, with the soft glow of Broadway's lights behind us, we take our first steps together. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries us forward, and our walk into the quieter streets of Nashville begins. We begin by moving west along Broadway just a short stretch before slipping into a side street, 2nd Avenue. By day, 2nd Avenue South has the air of a historic district, but now, in this calmer moment, it reveals its brick facades in muted tones. This is Nashville's oldest downtown district, first listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1972. Tall, narrow buildings rise on either side, their upper windows framed in worn stone arches, their ground floors marked by sturdy wooden doors. These structures date from the 1870s to 1890s, when this area served as Nashville's commercial heart, housing wholesale grocers, dry goods merchants, and printing companies that gave nearby Printers Alley its name. You notice the pattern of the brickwork, some bricks darker, some lighter, each one telling of decades weathered by rain and sun. The buildings here survived the Great Fire of 1916 that destroyed much of downtown Nashville, their thick masonry walls standing as testament to 19th century craftsmanship. As you continue along this quiet street, the echoes of your footsteps bounce gently between the buildings. The streetlights glow with a steady amber warmth, casting soft halos across the sidewalk. You pass under an old cast-iron balcony, its railings adorned with delicate swirls and curves, each detail a reminder of the late 19th century when these warehouses first lined the riverfront, serving the steamboat trade that made Nashville a vital inland port. Many of them have been restored, yet the restoration never quite hides the stories of age that remain etched into every wall. Faded painted advertisements for long-gone businesses, the worn grooves in stone thresholds where countless feet have passed. We move slowly north toward Church Street. Here the architecture shifts. You notice the mix of older buildings, modest in height, set beside newer structures of glass and steel. The juxtaposition feels calm in this light, the glass towers reflecting only the dim glow of street lamps, their polished surfaces muted. A soft breeze passes through, carrying faint sounds from a distant guitar. The city's music is never entirely gone, only softened. Turning west along Church Street, we pass by the downtown Presbyterian Church. Its Egyptian Revival design is striking yet softened by the hour. Completed in 1851, this is one of the few examples of Egyptian Revival church architecture in the United States, so rare and significant that it was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1993. The sandstone walls, adorned with lotus-shaped columns and painted details, stand as a reminder of a style that architect William Strickland, the same man who would later design the state capitol, chose to evoke the ancient temples of the Nile. You pause to notice the heavy wooden doors, the way their panels catch the light, and the hieroglyphic-inspired motifs carved into the stone. This church carries profound stories within its walls. During the Civil War, when Union forces occupied Nashville in 1862, the sanctuary was converted into a military hospital. Wounded soldiers from both armies lay in rows where pews once stood, their lives tended by army surgeons and volunteer nurses. The building's thick walls, designed for worship, became witness to the suffering and healing of a nation divided. Yet now its stillness invites quiet reflection. The weight of that history settled into peaceful silence. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries us onward, past storefronts with darkened windows, past small awnings folded for the night. Each shop front feels like a sealed box of daily life, waiting for morning to open again. The architecture here tells its own story of a city balancing its history with its present. Crossing over toward Germantown, we follow Rosa L. Parks Boulevard north. The wide road stretches calmly in front of us, lined with street trees whose leaves rustle softly overhead. Entering Germantown, the scale of the city shifts again. This neighborhood, established in the 1850s by European immigrants, was Nashville's first suburb, a planned community built beyond the city limits for families seeking respite from downtown's industrial bustle. Brick sidewalks replace concrete, and the houses here are smaller, friendlier in proportion. Victorian cottages sit side by side, their porches framed by white columns, their gables decorated with delicate wooden trim known as gingerbread. Intricate scroll work cut by craftsmen who took pride in each flourish and curve. These homes were built primarily between 1870 and 1900, when German, Irish, and other immigrant families established roots here, opening bakeries, breweries, and small shops that gave the neighborhood its character. Painted in soft pastels or deep earth tones, each home feels quietly unique, their individuality a testament to the diverse community that shaped this area. You notice the iron fences edging small front gardens, the way the lamplight glints on their curved bars. Many of these wrought iron pieces were crafted by local blacksmiths, their patterns reflecting both European traditions and American innovation. As you continue along this quiet street, you hear only the occasional car passing in the distance, and perhaps the soft bark of a dog carried through the night air. The cottages give way to townhouses, then to small modern apartment blocks, their clean lines and glass balconies sitting respectfully beside the older homes. The balance between old and new is gentle here, not forced. We pause near the intersection of Fifth Avenue North and Monroe Street. From here, the downtown skyline is visible again in the distance, its taller towers softened by the haze of night. The view reminds you how close the bustle is, yet how calm this neighborhood feels. Continuing deeper into Germantown, the brick warehouses appear again, some converted into lofts, some still carrying their industrial simplicity. Their tall windows are dark now, but the pale outlines of lettering, long faded, remain painted on their walls, reminders of mills, factories, and trades of the past. Each step feels like walking through layers of history quietly resting beside one another. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries us further still. Soon the streets bend toward Bicentennial Capitol Mall, but before we arrive there, take a moment to notice the gas lamps, replicas placed along some sidewalks. Their flames flicker behind glass panes, giving off a warm, steady glow. This detail, so simple, lends an intimacy to the street, a reminder of earlier times. Here, The architecture becomes less about grandeur and more about continuity. Each home, each warehouse, each lamppost plays a small part in the city's larger story. And as we walk, the calmness of Germantown prepares us for the next chapter of our journey, where the landmarks of Nashville's history will quietly emerge. As you leave the quiet streets of Germantown, your path begins to slope gently toward Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park. The sidewalks widen, and ahead you see the broad, open expanse of the park unfolding like a green carpet beneath the soft light of the evening. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps slows as you step onto the smooth pathway, flanked by carefully arranged stone walls engraved with Tennessee's history. The Bicentennial Mall feels spacious with the state capitol building visible at the far end. Its classical dome rises gently above the treetops, lit by floodlights that cast a soft cream glow against the night sky. The building itself, completed in 1859, was designed by architect William Strickland, who considered it his masterpiece and his final work. He died during its construction and is entombed within its walls, a rare honor for an architect. Built of Tennessee limestone quarried from the very hill on which it stands, the Capitol represents one of America's finest examples of Greek Revival architecture. As you walk closer, you notice the precise balance of Greek Revival lines, the stone columns rising tall and steady, each one carved from single blocks of limestone. The building's design was revolutionary for its time. Strickland chose to place the tower at the center rather than a traditional dome, creating a unique silhouette that has defined Nashville's skyline for over 160 years. During the Civil War, this building served as a fortress, its thick walls protecting Union supplies and serving as a military headquarters. The sense of permanence that comes from a building that has watched over the city for more than a century and a half is earned. It has witnessed Nashville's transformation from a frontier town to the music city, standing as an unchanging anchor through decades of growth and change. The park invites you to pause and listen. Along the granite walls are inscribed events from Tennessee's long timeline, stretching from prehistoric times through the state's founding and into the present day. As you read them silently, the soft sounds of the city fade, and the engraved words seem to echo back stories that once filled these grounds. Native peoples who lived here long before Nashville existed, the early settlers who built cabins along the Cumberland, and the many generations that followed. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you past the Court of Three Stars, where the red granite circle represents the unity of Tennessee's three grand divisions. In the quiet, you might imagine voices that once filled this space on state anniversaries and civic gatherings. Yet tonight, the plaza is still, the stone cool beneath your hand as you trace its surface. Turning slowly eastward, you leave the park and begin a gradual climb toward the Tennessee state capitol itself, standing on its hill above the city. The wide steps lead you upward, each one solid beneath your feet. At the top, the columns stand even taller, their fluted shafts supporting a pediment that seems to anchor the skyline. Inside, the building once served as a hospital and munitions depot during the Civil War. Now, from its high vantage point, it looks out across a city that has changed endlessly since then. As you continue along Charlotte Avenue, the city's layers of history emerge. You pass Victory Park, then the War Memorial Plaza, where tall limestone walls and broad steps frame memorials to Tennesseans who served in World War I. The plaza is quiet at this hour, its symmetry softened by trees along the perimeter. You notice the way your footsteps echo faintly off the stone, the sound absorbed quickly into the stillness. Crossing over to Fifth Avenue North, you approach the Ryman Auditorium. Its red brick facade rises before you, accented by tall arched windows and white stone trim. This building, first opened in 1892 as the Union Gospel Tabernacle, became the home of the Grand Ole Opry for decades and remains known as the Mother Church of Country Music. Yet as you walk past its side walls tonight, the building feels hushed, its doors closed, its hall silent. You notice the texture of its handmade bricks, some darker and more worn than others, and the way the building seems to carry the memory of countless voices that once filled its interior. The Ryman story is one of Nashville's most remarkable transformations. Built by Riverboat Captain Thomas Ryman after a religious conversion experience, it served for decades as a house of worship and community gathering place. Then, in 1943, it became the home of the Grand Ole Opry, transforming from a place of sermons to a temple of country music. For 31 years, from 1943 to 1974, this was where country music legends were born. Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash, and countless others stood on its stage, their voices carrying through the hall's exceptional acoustics. Acoustics that were accidental, designed for preaching rather than performance, yet perfect for the intimate connection between artist and audience. The title Mother Church of Country Music honors both its sacred origins and its role in nurturing an entire musical genre. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you past the Ryman and back toward Broadway, though this time you turn off onto 6th Avenue. From here, the Shelby Street pedestrian bridge comes into view in the distance, spanning the Cumberland River. You walk toward it, crossing slowly over the wide expanse. The steel trusses arch above you, their white beams lit from below, and the river reflects both light and shadow as it passes silently beneath. Standing in the center of the bridge, you look westward and see the towers of downtown rising, their outlines softened. Eastward, the river bends, carrying with it reflections of street lamps and faint lights from passing boats. Crossing into East Nashville, you follow Shelby Avenue until it leads toward Fort Negley Park. The walk is longer here, the streets quieter, lined with smaller businesses and homes. As you approach the park, you begin to notice the rocky hill rising above the city. Fort Negley, built by Union forces during the Civil War, still stands in its stone ruins, its star-shaped outline faintly visible. This was the largest inland stone fortification built during the Civil War, constructed between 1862 and 1863 by Union troops and enslaved African Americans who were forced into labor. The fort's strategic position on St. Cloud Hill gave it commanding views over Nashville and the surrounding countryside. Walking the pathways around it, you hear only the sound of gravel under your shoes and the gentle hum of insects in the grass. The fort once overlooked the Battle of Nashville in December 1864, when Union forces under General George Thomas decisively defeated Confederate General John Bell Hood's army. From these walls, soldiers watched as the battle unfolded across the fields below, marking the effective end of Confederate resistance in Tennessee. Yet tonight it overlooks only the quiet sprawl of the modern city, its cannons long silent. As you continue along the outer path, the soft wind carries scents of grass and stone. The low walls of stacked limestone feel cool to the touch, each one placed by hands more than 150 years ago, some by Union soldiers, others by the enslaved men who were promised freedom for their labor, but often found only continued hardship. The weight of history rests here, complex and layered, but the atmosphere remains calm, steady, and grounding. The fort stands as a monument not just to military strategy, but to the human cost of war and the struggle for freedom that defined this era. Leaving the fort, you head slowly back toward the heart of the city. Along Lafayette Street, the skyline gradually reemerges. You pass the site of Nashville's early printing presses, which helped the city gain its reputation as the Athens of the South. The phrase still lingers in the air as you walk past buildings with classical details, triangular pediments, tall columns, carved stonework, each echoing the ideals of learning and culture. This nickname, earned in the mid-19th century, reflected Nashville's remarkable commitment to education and intellectual pursuits. The city was home to numerous colleges and universities, including Vanderbilt University, Fisk University, and Peabody College, creating a concentration of learning rare in the American South. Nashville's leaders consciously cultivated this identity, believing that education and the arts could elevate society, and they built their city to reflect these values, choosing Greek Revival architecture that connected Nashville to the birthplace of democracy and philosophy. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you full circle now, from Germantown to the mall, to the Capitol, the Ryman, the bridge, and the fort. Each landmark has unfolded quietly, not in excitement but in stillness, a reminder of how a city's history can be read like faint lettering on old stone, patient and enduring. As the night deepens, the transition into daily life becomes natural. From here, the walk will draw us into the quieter rhythms of Nashville's neighborhoods, into bookstores, cafes, and the calm presence of people moving through their evenings. Leaving the street near Lafayette, you turn north again, slowly making your way back toward the river. The path brings you once more near Broadway, though instead of returning to the noise of neon and music, you angle east, crossing the river on the John Siegenthaler pedestrian bridge this time. Its graceful arc carries you high over the Cumberland, the steel framework stretching above your head. From this vantage point, the city is laid out before you, not in bright clamor, but in softened outlines. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps echoes lightly on the wooden planks, blending with the steady hum of the river below. Crossing into East Nashville, the streets quiet noticeably. Here the houses are smaller, many of them early 20th century bungalows with wide porches and wooden steps leading down to tree-lined sidewalks. Some are painted in soft colors, pale blues, buttery yellows, muted greens, while others keep the warm red of brick. Porch swings hang still, and the occasional rocking chair sits empty. You notice the scent of cut grass, the soft rustle of leaves in the trees, and the faint sound of a television drifting through an open window. Life here is slower, and the calm seeps into your stride. Turning onto Woodland Street, you pass a row of small businesses, independent coffee shops, restaurants, and vinyl record stores. Even when their doors are closed, their windows tell stories. One shop displays rows of album covers, their bold artwork lit by a single overhead bulb. Another reveals shelves lined with books, their spines arranged in mismatched colors and fonts. You imagine the quiet bustle of the day here, people ordering lattes, flipping through records, chatting softly with friends. But tonight, the only sound is your steady pace against the pavement. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you further along, where the street widens near 5 Points. This small intersection is the heart of East Nashville, where several roads converge at odd angles. Murals cover some of the walls, painted guitars, abstract shapes, and bright portraits. By day, these murals are vibrant and lively, but at this hour, their colors rest in muted tones under the lamplight. They stand quietly, like sleeping guardians of the neighborhood's creativity. Moving westward again, you cross back into downtown, this time following Dederick Street toward the Nashville Public Library. The library's facade is grand, with tall arches and wide stone steps, but its interior, though quiet tonight, is where daily life unfolds most gently. Inside, during the day, students and professionals find quiet corners to work. Families browse children's books, and the city's stories are preserved in rows of shelves. You imagine this activity now in hushed tones, a collective rhythm of turning pages and muffled footsteps. From 5 Points, our journey takes a gentle turn westward, leading us into neighborhoods that reveal Nashville's quieter character. We follow Gallatin Pike as it curves through Lachland Springs, where the streetscape shifts to reveal a neighborhood in gentle transition. Here, Victorian cottages from the 1890s sit comfortably beside contemporary homes, their architectural conversation spanning more than a century. The older homes display the craftsmanship of another era, detailed woodwork on their eaves, stained glass windows that catch the streetlight, and front porches deep enough for rocking chairs and evening conversations. You pause to notice a particularly charming cottage, its gingerbread trim painted in cream against sage green siding. A small garden borders the front walk where hostas and ferns create pools of shadow beneath a mature oak tree. The tree itself tells a story, its trunk thick enough that 3 people couldn't wrap their arms around it, its branches spreading wide to shelter not just this house, but the sidewalk where you stand. In the gentle breeze, its leaves whisper secrets that only old trees know, stories of the families who have lived beneath its shade, the children who have climbed its branches, the seasons it has witnessed in this quiet corner of Nashville. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you deeper into this residential maze, where each street reveals new details. On Russell Street, you notice how the evening light filters through the canopy of trees, creating a dappled pattern on the asphalt that shifts and moves like water. The houses here are modest but well-loved. Small front yards bordered by picket fences, mailboxes that lean slightly with age, and driveways where bicycles rest against garage doors. A cat appears on a porch, watching you with calm curiosity before settling into a patch of remaining sunlight. As you continue, the neighborhood's rhythm becomes apparent. This is a place where people know their neighbors, where evening walks are common, where the pace of life allows for front porch conversations and impromptu gatherings. You pass a house where someone is playing guitar on the back porch, the melody drifting through the evening air. Not a performance, but the simple pleasure of making music for its own sake. The song is unfamiliar, perhaps improvised, but it adds to the neighborhood's gentle soundtrack of evening sounds, the distant hum of air conditioners, the soft bark of a dog, the rustle of leaves overhead. From this peaceful residential enclave, our path curves northward, leading us toward Silven Park, one of Nashville's most cherished neighborhoods. The transition is gradual, the streets grow wider, the trees taller, and the houses take on the distinctive character of the 1920s and 1930s. Silven Park was developed as a streetcar suburb designed for families who wanted to escape the bustle of downtown while remaining connected to the city's heart. Tonight, that original vision feels perfectly preserved in the quiet streets and well-maintained homes. Walking along Silven Avenue, you notice the architectural consistency that gives this neighborhood its charm. Most of the houses are bungalows, their low-pitched roofs and wide front porches creating a rhythm of horizontal lines that feels both orderly and welcoming. The craftsmanship of the era is evident in every detail. The tapered columns supporting the porch roofs, the decorative brackets beneath the eaves, the built-in planters that frame many of the front steps. These homes were built by people who believed in permanence, in creating spaces that would shelter families for generations. You pause at the corner of 46th Avenue North where a particularly beautiful example catches your eye. This bungalow, painted in a soft gray with white trim, sits beneath a canopy of mature trees. Its front garden is a study in careful cultivation. Boxwood hedges line the walkway, while seasonal flowers add splashes of color near the porch. A porch swing hangs from the ceiling, its chains creaking gently in the evening breeze. You can imagine the countless evenings when families have gathered here, watching the neighborhood settle into night, sharing the quiet satisfaction of a day well lived. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you deeper into Silven Park, where the streets curve gently, following the natural contours of the land. This is not a neighborhood laid out on a rigid grid, but one that works with the landscape, creating intimate pockets and unexpected vistas. On Eaton Avenue, you climb a gentle hill that offers glimpses of downtown Nashville in the distance, its lights twinkling like stars that have fallen to earth. The view reminds you of the city's presence, but from here it feels distant and peaceful, a backdrop rather than a destination. As you continue your exploration, the neighborhood reveals its layers of history. Some houses show the influence of the arts and crafts movement with their emphasis on natural materials and handcrafted details. Others reflect the colonial revival style that was popular in the 1920s, their symmetrical facades and classical details speaking to America's fascination with its colonial past. Each style tells a story about the families who built these homes, their aspirations and values, their vision of what a neighborhood should be. The evening air carries the scent of honeysuckle and jasmine, flowers that thrive in Nashville's climate and add their perfume to summer nights. You pass a house where someone is grilling dinner on a back patio, the aroma of charcoal and cooking meat adding to the neighborhood's sensory tapestry. A dog barks once, then settles, and somewhere in the distance you hear the faint sound of children playing in a backyard, their laughter carrying on the evening breeze. From Silven Park, our journey takes us westward toward the Nations, a neighborhood that tells a different story of Nashville's evolution. The transition is marked by a change in architecture and atmosphere. Where Silven Park feels established and settled, the Nations carries the energy of transformation and renewal. This area, once dominated by industrial buildings and warehouses, has become one of Nashville's most dynamic neighborhoods where young professionals and families are creating new communities in converted spaces. Walking along 51st Avenue North, you notice the mix of old and new that defines the Nations. Converted warehouses stand beside new townhomes, their brick facades and large windows speaking to different eras of Nashville's development. The warehouses, built in the early 20th century to serve the city's growing industrial needs, now house lofts and creative spaces. Their thick walls and high ceilings, once designed for manufacturing and storage, have been transformed into homes that celebrate the neighborhood's industrial heritage while embracing contemporary living. You pause near a particularly striking conversion where a former textile warehouse has been transformed into residential lofts. The building's original brick facade has been carefully preserved, its large windows now revealing glimpses of modern interiors. A small courtyard has been created where the loading dock once stood, complete with native plants and outdoor seating. The transformation speaks to Nashville's ability to honor its past while embracing its future, to find new uses for old spaces without losing their essential character. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you along Charlotte Avenue, the main thoroughfare that connects the Nations to the rest of Nashville. Even at this hour, the street shows signs of the neighborhood's vitality. Restaurants with outdoor seating, coffee shops with large windows, and small businesses that cater to the area's growing population. The sidewalks are wider here, designed for pedestrians and cyclists, reflecting the neighborhood's commitment to walkability and community connection. As you continue, the path brings you toward Church Street once again, where you step into Parnassus Books, or at least picture its shelves, even if closed. Independent bookstores in Nashville hold a special charm, tables stacked with novels, shelves curated with care, and corners where readers settle into chairs as the world outside passes unnoticed. The scent of paper and ink seems to linger, even as you pass only the quiet storefront tonight. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you gradually into Centennial Park, one of the city's most beloved green spaces. Entering from West End Avenue, you notice the broad lawns stretching out under the soft glow of lampposts. In the distance, the Parthenon rises, a full-scale replica of the ancient structure in Athens, built for the Tennessee Centennial Exposition in 1897. Its tall columns and pediments, lit evenly against the night, embody the city's nickname, the Athens of the South. This remarkable structure is the only full-scale replica of the original Parthenon in the world, constructed to celebrate Tennessee's centennial and to showcase Nashville's cultural aspirations. The building embodies the city's nickname, the Athens of the South, a title earned through Nashville's commitment to education and the arts. The city was home to numerous colleges and universities, and its leaders wanted to demonstrate that culture and learning could flourish in the American South just as they had in ancient Greece. Inside the Parthenon stands Athena Parthenos, a 42-foot tall statue of the goddess Athena, recreated from ancient descriptions and archaeological evidence, a golden figure that represents Nashville's enduring belief in the power of education and culture to elevate society. Walking slowly around the Parthenon, you notice the way its reflection pools gently in the nearby lake. Ducks rest at the water's edge, their faint movement sending small ripples across the surface. The air here feels cooler, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and grass. The soundscape changes too, less city hum, more gentle rustling of leaves, the occasional chirp of crickets. Each step on the gravel path crunches softly, keeping you anchored in the calm. Nearby, you see couples strolling quietly, joggers slowing their pace, and small groups gathered on benches. Their conversations are soft, blending into the background. It's daily life at its calmest. People sharing space without rushing, without demand. You pass a fountain, the water falling steadily in a pattern that joins your footsteps in a gentle rhythm. Leaving the park, your route bends back toward the Vanderbilt University campus. Its paths wind beneath large shade trees, their branches forming a canopy overhead. The red brick buildings here, many in collegiate Gothic style, are softened by ivy and lamplight. You notice the tall spires of Kirkland Hall, its twin towers reaching into the night, their clock faces dim. The campus feels timeless, both lively and hushed, a place where learning continues through the decades, even as the night brings silence. As you continue along West End Avenue, the city resumes its quieter daily rhythm. Cafes sit with chairs stacked neatly outside, their signs darkened. Small restaurants line the street, their aromas faint now, but lingering. A bakery shows rows of loaves cooling behind the glass, ready for morning. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps matches the steady preparation of a city easing from one day into the next. Turning back eastward, your walk approaches Midtown. Here, the daily life is slightly livelier. Even at night, a few small bars and restaurants keep lights glowing, but the narration slows them down, softens their energy. The sound of laughter is distant, like an echo. The glow of neon is steady, not sharp. You pass by and notice only the outlines, a group talking at a table, someone carrying a guitar case, a waiter clearing glasses. The walk continues gently south along 21st Avenue, where small shops give way to residential streets once again. Bungalows and cottages line the sidewalks, each porch light casting its own circle of calm. You notice bicycles leaning against railings, mailboxes standing quietly at the edge of lawns, wind chimes moving lightly in the breeze. These small, ordinary details are the essence of daily life here, steady and unassuming. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you gradually toward Belmont Boulevard. Belmont University rises nearby with its wide lawns and stately buildings. The Belmont Mansion, with its Italianate design, stands quietly on its grounds, its history woven into the neighborhood. Built in the 1850s as a summer home for Adelicia Ackland, one of the wealthiest women in America, this mansion was the centerpiece of a 180-acre estate called Belmonte. Adelicia, widowed twice and inheritor of vast cotton plantations, created here a showcase of antebellum luxury and sophistication. The mansion's Italianate architecture, with its tall columns and grand veranda, was revolutionary for Nashville at the time. Its elaborate gardens, conservatory, and art collection made it a cultural center where Nashville's elite gathered for parties and cultural events. After the Civil War, when Adelicia's fortune was threatened, she fought legal battles to preserve her wealth and property, becoming a symbol of resilience and determination. The mansion's lawns have seen generations of students walk by since the property became a school. But tonight, the mansion seems still, its windows reflecting the dim light of the street, holding within its walls the stories of ambition, loss, and transformation that define so much of Nashville's history. Here, the daily life of Nashville feels layered, students hurrying to classes, families strolling through parks, musicians carrying instruments to quiet gigs, shopkeepers preparing for morning. Yet in this softened hour, those rhythms blend into one another, creating a calm atmosphere that is steady, gentle, and reassuring. From Belmont, our journey takes a gentle curve southward, leading us into Green Hills, a neighborhood that showcases Nashville's mid-century growth and prosperity. The transition is marked by a change in topography. The land begins to roll and rise, creating the hills that give this area its name. As you walk along Hillsboro Pike, you notice how the architecture shifts to reflect the optimism and modernism of the 1950s and 1960s, when Nashville was expanding beyond its traditional boundaries and embracing new ways of living. The houses here are larger, set back from the street on generous lots that allow for mature landscaping and privacy. Many display the clean lines and horizontal emphasis of mid-century modern design, low-pitched roofs, large windows, and an integration with the natural landscape that was revolutionary for its time. You pause near a particularly striking example, where a house seems to float among the trees, its flat roof and floor-to-ceiling windows creating a seamless connection between interior and exterior spaces. The architect who designed this home understood that luxury wasn't just about size, but about the quality of light, the relationship to nature, and the sense of calm that comes from thoughtful design. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you up Tyne Boulevard, where the elevation provides glimpses of the city spreading out below. From this vantage point, Nashville appears as a tapestry of lights and shadows, its various neighborhoods connected by the gentle curves of streets and the dark ribbons of creeks and parkland. The view reminds you of the city's relationship to its landscape, how it has grown organically, following the contours of hills and valleys, creating an urban form that feels more like a collection of villages than a single metropolis. As you continue through Green Hills, you notice the careful attention to landscaping that characterizes this neighborhood. Front yards are designed as gardens, with native plants and mature trees creating natural privacy screens. Dogwoods and redbuds, Tennessee's signature spring trees, line many streets, their branches creating a canopy that filters the street light into dappled patterns. In spring, these trees would burst into bloom, creating tunnels of white and pink flowers that transform the neighborhood into a fairyland. Tonight, their bare branches create intricate patterns against the sky, beautiful in their own stark way. The evening air here carries different scents than in the older neighborhoods: the clean smell of well-maintained lawns, the subtle fragrance of ornamental shrubs, and the faint aroma of wood smoke from a fireplace somewhere in the distance. These are the scents of suburban prosperity, of a lifestyle that values comfort and beauty in equal measure. You pass a house where someone is walking a dog, their quiet conversation and the soft padding of paws on pavement adding to the neighborhood's peaceful soundtrack. From Green Hills, our path leads us toward Hillsboro Village, a neighborhood that bridges the gap between suburban comfort and urban vitality. The transition is gradual but noticeable. The lots become smaller, the houses closer together, and the street life more apparent. Hillsboro Village was designed as a walkable community centered around 21st Avenue South, where shops, restaurants, and services create a village-like atmosphere within the larger city. Walking along 21st Avenue, you notice the mix of architectural styles that gives Hillsboro Village its eclectic character. Tudor Revival houses from the 1920s sit beside contemporary condominiums, their different scales and materials creating a visual conversation about Nashville's evolution. The commercial buildings along the avenue reflect this same diversity. Some are original structures from the neighborhood's early days, while others are newer additions that attempt to honor the area's pedestrian-friendly character. You pause near Vanderbilt University, whose campus forms the eastern boundary of Hillsboro Village. The university's presence is felt throughout the neighborhood, in the coffee shops that stay open late for studying students, in the bookstores that cater to academic needs, and in the general atmosphere of intellectual curiosity that pervades the area. Even at this hour, you can sense the energy of learning and discovery that makes this neighborhood unique, a place where town and gown have found a comfortable balance. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you past small restaurants and cafes, their windows glowing softly in the night. Even when closed, these establishments contribute to the neighborhood's character. Their outdoor seating areas, their carefully designed storefronts, and their commitment to creating spaces where community can flourish. You imagine the daytime bustle here, students meeting for coffee, families gathering for dinner, neighbors running into each other on the sidewalk and stopping to chat. As you continue through Hillsboro Village, you notice the details that make a neighborhood feel alive and welcoming. Sidewalks are wide enough for comfortable walking, with street trees providing shade and visual interest. Crosswalks are clearly marked, and traffic moves at a pace that acknowledges the presence of pedestrians. Small parks and green spaces are woven throughout the area, providing places for rest and reflection. These are the elements of good urban design, the infrastructure of community life that allows neighborhoods to thrive. As the walk returns northward, the city's sounds become faint once more. The rustle of leaves, the faint pluck of a distant guitar, the occasional call of a night bird all layer together. Each sound reminds you of the city's heartbeat, steady but never urgent. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you toward the next part of our journey, where the focus will shift once more, this time to the flavors and aromas that define Nashville. From the quiet of daily life, we will step into the soft glow of cafes, the warmth of barbecue smoke, and the steady hum of food and atmosphere that fills the city's nights. From Belmont Boulevard, the walk bends slowly back toward the center of the city. The sidewalks here slope downward, drawing you gradually into the glow of the evening. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps marks time as you pass small cafes, their awnings folded, their chalkboard menus faintly visible under dim streetlights. Even when closed, the presence of food lingers. A faint sweetness of baked bread drifts through the air, mixed with the sharper aroma of roasted coffee beans that seems to cling to the walls of a nearby shop. Following 12th Avenue South, you enter the neighborhood known as the Gulch. By day, it bustles with people dining on patios, sipping coffee, and visiting boutique shops. Tonight, the scene rests quietly, though the atmosphere still hums gently. Street lamps light the brick sidewalks, where faint traces of barbecue smoke seem to hang in the air, a reminder of meals served only hours earlier. Large warehouse buildings have been converted into restaurants and lofts, their glass windows reflecting the city's glow. One old brick wall carries a painted sign, faded letters advertising a long-gone grocery company, its ghostly outline adding character to the night. You pause near a well-known hot chicken spot. The neon sign above its door glows in steady red, but the dining room inside has grown quiet. This simple storefront represents one of Nashville's most distinctive culinary contributions to the world. Hot chicken was born in the 1930s at Prince's Hot Chicken Shack, created by Thornton Prince after a night of infidelity led his girlfriend to serve him chicken doused in fiery spices as revenge. Instead of punishment, Prince discovered perfection, and the recipe became a family legacy that defined Nashville's food culture. The tables are empty, chairs neatly arranged, yet you can still imagine the fiery scent of cayenne and paprika, the crunch of fried chicken coating, the warmth of cornbread on the side. This dish, once known only to locals and passed down through generations in Nashville's African-American community, has become a symbol of the city itself. Even as the kitchen rests, its presence lingers in memory and air, the heat that builds slowly, the satisfaction that comes from tradition preserved and shared. Continuing onward, the gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you through Music Row. Here, recording studios sit among modest houses and small restaurants, creating the heart of Nashville's music industry. This area, roughly bounded by 16th and 19th Avenues South, became the center of country music recording in the 1950s when RCA Victor established Studio B, where Elvis Presley, Dolly Parton, and countless others recorded their hits. The studios are dark, their windows shuttered, but the quiet streets seem to hum faintly with the echo of songs once recorded here. Melodies that shaped American music born in these unassuming buildings. Behind these modest facades, music history was made daily. Studio A and Studio B, the legendary RCA facilities, witnessed the creation of the Nashville sound, a smoother, more polished style that brought country music to mainstream audiences. Chet Atkins, the guitarist and producer who helped define this sound, worked from these very streets, transforming Nashville from a regional music center into the global capital of country music. A diner nearby still glows with fluorescent light. A few patrons inside nursing coffee cups, their conversations low and unhurried. The smell of frying bacon and brewed coffee drifts faintly into the night, carrying a sense of comfort, of routine, the same comfort that drew musicians to these neighborhoods where creativity and community intertwined. Turning north, you make your way toward Broadway once again. This time, instead of the neon-lit honky-tonks, you linger on the quieter edges, the side alleys where loading doors stand closed, where the air holds traces of spilled beer and smoky barbecue. The scent is softened by the night, no longer sharp but steady, like the faint memory of a gathering. You pass a doorway where a musician strums a guitar, the notes muffled and slow, blending into the atmosphere as naturally as the sound of traffic. Crossing toward Printer's Alley, the old brick corridor opens in front of you. This narrow passage tells the story of Nashville's transformation from industrial center to entertainment capital. In the late 1800s, this alley bustled with printing companies and publishing houses that earned Nashville its reputation as a center of learning and literature. The brick buildings housed the presses that printed books, newspapers, and sheet music, their machinery running day and night. During Prohibition, these same buildings took on a different character. The printing shops gave way to speakeasies, jazz clubs, and clandestine watering holes. The alley's narrow confines and multiple entrances made it perfect for establishments that needed to operate in shadows. Musicians who couldn't find work in the more respectable venues found stages here, and the alley became a breeding ground for Nashville's emerging music scene. Now its narrow walkway is lined with restaurants and bars that honor this legacy of entertainment and rebellion. At this hour, the activity is hushed. Colored bulbs glow dimly overhead, strung between buildings like memories of the neon that once blazed here, and the brick walls absorb the faint laughter drifting from doorways. A whiff of smoke from a wood-fired oven passes by, mingled with the rich aroma of tomato and melted cheese. Each scent, each sound, blends into the calm rhythm of the walk, carrying echoes of the countless gatherings, performances, and celebrations that have filled this space for over a century. From here, you turn slowly eastward, crossing toward the riverfront. Riverfront Park opens before you, its grassy stretches illuminated by soft lamplight. Along First Avenue, the smell of grilled meat drifts faintly from a closed barbecue restaurant. You can almost picture the plates served earlier. Slow-cooked ribs brushed with sauce, smoky brisket sliced thin, pulled pork piled high on soft buns. Tonight, the air carries only traces, but those traces linger like echoes of a meal shared. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps carries you up the slope toward the pedestrian bridge once again. Standing above the river, the scents fade, replaced by cool, clean air moving steadily along the Cumberland. Yet even here, the city's food culture feels near, restaurants across the river still glowing faintly, their aromas blending invisibly with the night. Crossing back downtown, you turn slowly north toward Germantown once more. This neighborhood, known for its restaurants, is hushed now. Windows reveal neatly set tables, polished glasses waiting for morning. A faint sweetness of pastries lingers outside a bakery, carried on the breeze. You pause and notice the steady glow of gas lamps, the quiet hum of refrigerators inside kitchens that are resting but never fully asleep. You continue walking slowly along Fifth Avenue North. The street is nearly empty, but here and there, subtle aromas drift. Garlic from an Italian trattoria, smoky cedar from a wood-fired grill, cinnamon and sugar from a cafe that baked late into the night. None of these are sharp or insistent. Each is a quiet note in the larger chord of the city's atmosphere. Turning west once more, your walk carries you gently toward Bicentennial Mall again. From here, the state capitol rises above the park, steady as before. Yet now, the city around you feels different. The journey through food and scent has layered the experience with warmth. The streets seem softer, calmer, filled not with bustle, but with the lingering comfort of meals prepared, shared, and remembered. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps slows as you cross the wide plaza. In the stillness, you reflect on the quiet atmosphere of Nashville at night. Its flavors and aromas are part of its heartbeat, just as much as its music and architecture. Together, they create an experience that is never rushed, never loud, but always steady. As the segment closes, the city itself seems to exhale. The glow of street lamps, the lingering scents, the softened sounds all combine into a single atmosphere, calm, grounding, sleep-inducing. From here, our walk will draw to its final conclusion, gently closing the circle and easing us toward rest. But before our journey concludes, there is one more experience that Nashville offers. A gentle cruise along the Cumberland River, where the city reveals itself from an entirely different perspective. From the riverfront, you make your way to the dock where a small riverboat waits, its lights reflecting softly on the dark water. This is not the grand paddle wheeler of tourist excursions, but a smaller, quieter vessel designed for peaceful evening journeys. As you step aboard, the boat rocks gently beneath your feet, a motion that immediately slows your breathing and settles your mind. The captain, a soft-spoken man who has navigated these waters for decades, welcomes you with a quiet nod. He understands that this is not a time for commentary or entertainment, but for contemplation and rest. The engine starts with a low, steady hum that blends with the sound of water lapping against the hull. The boat moves slowly away from the dock, and Nashville begins to reveal itself from the river's perspective. The city's lights reflect on the water's surface, creating a second Nashville that shimmers and dances with each gentle wave. The buildings that seemed so solid and permanent from the street now appear fluid and dreamlike, their reflections stretching and contracting as the boat moves through the water. The gentle rhythm of the boat's movement replaces the rhythm of your footsteps, a slower, more hypnotic cadence that seems to match the flow of the river itself. You notice how the city's sounds change when heard from the water. The traffic becomes a distant hum. The music from the honky-tonks fades to a whisper, and the dominant sounds become the soft splash of water against the boat and the quiet conversation of the river with its banks. As the boat moves upstream, you pass beneath the bridges you walked across earlier in the evening. From below, these structures take on a different character. Their steel and concrete forms become graceful arches that frame the sky, their lights creating patterns of shadow and illumination on the water. The John Seigenthaler pedestrian bridge in particular appears as a work of art, its white trusses glowing against the night sky like the ribs of some great sleeping creature. The riverbanks tell their own stories as you glide past. On the east side, you see the neighborhoods of East Nashville rising gently from the water's edge, their lights twinkling among the trees like earthbound stars. On the west side, downtown Nashville presents its most impressive face, the tall buildings creating a canyon of light and shadow, their windows revealing glimpses of late-night activity in offices and apartments high above the water. The gentle rhythm of the boat carries you past Shelby Bottoms, where the river widens and the city gives way to parkland. Here, the lights become fewer and the darkness deeper, allowing you to see stars reflected in the water alongside the city's glow. The contrast is striking, the ancient light of stars mingling with the modern illumination of Nashville, creating a tapestry that spans both time and space. You notice how the river itself seems to breathe, its surface rising and falling gently with the boat's passage. The Cumberland has been Nashville's lifeline since the city's founding, providing transportation, commerce, and sustenance for generations of residents. Tonight, it offers something different, a pathway to peace, a liquid meditation that carries you away from the concerns of land-bound life. The boat's captain points quietly toward a great blue heron standing motionless on a fallen log near the shore. The bird is perfectly still, its reflection creating a perfect double image in the calm water. For a moment, the boat, the bird, and the river seem suspended in time, a tableau of perfect tranquility that captures the essence of this evening journey. As the boat begins its gentle turn back toward downtown, you notice how the city's lights have changed. Some windows that were bright when you departed have gone dark, while others have come to life. The city is settling into its late-night rhythm, a slower, quieter version of its daytime self. The riverboat journey has given you time to observe this transition, to witness Nashville's transformation from evening to night. The gentle rhythm of the boat's return journey feels different from the outbound trip, more peaceful, more settled, as if both you and the vessel have found a deeper connection to the river's flow. The city's reflections on the water seem more stable now, less fragmented, as if the river has accepted the presence of the lights and learned to hold them steady. As you approach the dock, the boat's engine quiets to an almost inaudible whisper, and the vessel glides the final distance on momentum alone. The transition from water to land is gradual and gentle, marked by the soft bump of the boat against the dock's rubber fenders. You step back onto solid ground with a sense of completion, carrying with you the river's rhythm and the memory of Nashville seen from its most peaceful perspective. And now, as our walk comes to its quiet end, we pause once more at the edge of Bicentennial Mall with the Tennessee State Capitol rising steadily in the distance. We have walked slowly and gently through Nashville's streets, from the brick facades of downtown to the cottages of Germantown, from the history held in the Ryman and Fort Negley to the calm daily rhythms of bookstores, cafes, and tree-lined parks. We lingered in the warmth of food and atmosphere, in the subtle glow of neon signs, in the lingering scent of barbecue and bread. Each step has carried us deeper into the city's character, yet always at a pace that remained calm, steady, and soothing. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps now begins to slow, until even that sound seems to fade into the stillness around you. The city rests, and so do you. As you reflect on the journey, you notice how Nashville has revealed itself not all at once, but in quiet layers, the architecture that tells of centuries past, the landmarks that anchor memory, the neighborhoods that showcase different eras of growth and change, the culture and daily life unfolding softly in parks and streets, the food and scents that give warmth to the night, and finally, the river that connects all these elements in its gentle flow. Each element has been part of the walk, part of the atmosphere, part of the calm that surrounds you now. The air feels cooler here at the edge of the park, carrying with it the mixed scents of the evening, the lingering aroma of food from distant restaurants, the clean smell of the river, the green scent of grass and trees, and the faint smokiness that always seems to hang in Nashville's air, a reminder of its musical heritage and the countless gatherings that have filled its spaces with warmth and community. A soft breeze moves across the open space, carrying with it faint sounds that have become the soundtrack of your journey. The distant hum of traffic that never quite stops, the chirp of crickets hidden in the grass, the rustle of leaves in the trees overhead, and somewhere, almost too faint to hear, the echo of music that seems to emanate from the city itself. These sounds are not interruptions, but steady companions, reminders that life continues gently, even as the night deepens and the city settles into its quietest hours. If your eyes are still open, you might imagine the glow of the street lamps stretching into the distance, forming pools of light along the paths you've walked, connecting the neighborhoods you've visited in a gentle constellation of memory. The lights of downtown Nashville rise in the distance, their windows like stars that have fallen to earth, each one representing a life, a story, a moment of human connection in this city that has welcomed so many dreams and aspirations. If your eyes are closed, you can simply rest in the memory of the walk, allowing each detail to dissolve into calm. The brick facades of 2nd Avenue, the Egyptian columns of the Presbyterian Church, the Victorian cottages of Germantown, the classical lines of the state capitol, the sacred space of the Ryman, the industrial heritage of the nations, the mid-century elegance of Green Hills, the academic atmosphere of Hillsboro Village. All of these images can fade now into a gentle tapestry of memory, a quilt of experiences that wraps around you like comfort itself. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps has carried us through more than just physical space. It has carried us through time, from Nashville's earliest days as a frontier settlement to its current role as a modern city that honors its past while embracing its future. You have walked in the footsteps of Native Americans who first inhabited these hills, of pioneers who built the first cabins along the Cumberland, of immigrants who created neighborhoods like Germantown, of musicians who found their voices in the Ryman and on Music Row, of families who built homes in Silven Park and Green Hills, of students who filled the sidewalks of Hillsboro Village with youthful energy. Each step has been a connection to this larger story, a reminder that cities are not just collections of buildings and streets, but repositories of human experience, places where countless individual stories intersect and create something larger than the sum of their parts. Nashville's story is still being written in the new developments of the nations, in the restored buildings of downtown, in the coffee shops and restaurants where people gather to share their lives, in the music venues where new voices find their audiences. But tonight, all of these stories rest quietly, held in the gentle embrace of darkness and the soft glow of streetlights. The city sleeps, but it sleeps the sleep of the living, ready to wake tomorrow with new energy, new possibilities, new chapters to add to its ongoing narrative. And you, having walked through its streets and sailed on its river, having breathed its air and absorbed its rhythms, can rest knowing that you have been part of this story, if only for one peaceful evening. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps has grown softer, fainter, until they become only the echo of a memory. The streets are quiet, the air is still, and the city sleeps. The riverboat has returned to its dock, the bridges span the dark water in silent arcs, and the neighborhoods settle into the deep quiet that comes before dawn. You too may allow yourself to drift now, to settle deeper into comfort, into the peace that comes from a journey completed, a story told, a city explored and understood. Let the calm linger. Let the softness of the night wrap around you like the gentlest blanket. Let the journey end not with a stop, but with a gentle fade into silence, into stillness, into the deep, restorative sleep that comes after a day well lived and a walk well taken. Nashville remains outside, steady and timeless, its lights keeping their quiet vigil, its river flowing toward the distant sea, its neighborhoods resting in the confidence that tomorrow will bring new life, new energy, new stories to tell. But for now, all is quiet, all is still, all is at peace. So let the calm embrace you completely. Let the rhythm of the city become the rhythm of your breathing, slow and steady and deep. Let the memory of the walk become a dream, and let the dream become the gateway to the deepest, most peaceful sleep. Good night, Nashville. Good night, gentle traveler. Rest well. If your eyes are still open, you might imagine the glow of the street lamps stretching into the distance, forming pools of light along the path. If they are closed, you can simply rest in the memory of the walk, allowing each detail to dissolve into calm. Either way, the city has given you its quiet rhythm, and it now asks nothing more of you than to rest. The gentle rhythm of your footsteps has carried us full circle, and now those footsteps grow softer, fainter, until they become only the echo of a memory. The streets are quiet, the air is still, and the city sleeps. You too may allow yourself to drift, to settle deeper into comfort, to let go of the walk, of the city, of the day itself. Nashville remains outside, steady and timeless, while within you find rest. So let the calm linger, let the softness of the night wrap around you, let the journey end not with a stop, but with a gentle fade, into silence, into stillness, into sleep. Good night.